I'll be back. I want to tick off any.
Grandkids are almost like typhoid Marys.
Yeah.
Hey, can anybody jump on that call tonight, Tony?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think so.
It's in the eyepiece. It's in the newsletter that Mike Jensen lets. I'll send it to you.
Okay. No, I'm interested that you said Mario was doing a thing on cellophane. That might be
Yeah.
interesting to hear.
Be aware of something. It's on page 2 of the newsletter like it always is, but they've always been using the same Zoom link until tonight. They changed the Zoom link to something new. So make sure you go to the current newsletter to get the proper Zoom link.
Ah, okay. All right. Thanks for the tip, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where do we
yeah,
get the newsletter?
I'm glad you said that. The ipeace.org, and there's a link on it.
Okay.
ipeace.org.
The eyepiece.org.
Yeah.
Could somebody
TAP
just post the link to the chat right now and we can all just kind of copy it?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Why did they change the link? That
No idea.
I would
I
never
noticed it. I saw it this morning. I sent a quick note back to Brian and to Mike about it and asked him if that was a mistake or that's their intention. He said that was their intention to do so. They didn't make it very obvious to the fact that they did that.
But it is in the January, when you hit January.
It's in January. If you go to the newsletter and just click from there, yes. But if you save the link like I do,
Yeah.
I save the links and go to them for every meeting. Well, the link doesn't work anymore. It's the wrong link.
Well, and I have it in my calendar, so it just pops up and gives me the calendar link.
So, oh, great. It's in the chat. Thank you, Linwood.
Thanks.
If I had where's my calendar? There it is.
What time is that program? Because I'm on the West Coast here.
7 p.m. Eastern
Time.
time.
7 p.m. East Coast, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. And so Peter and I were talking not too long ago because Peter did this review of the UNISTELLA. And then
Which, by the way, is going to be published in the April Sky and Tell. I just learned today.
Good.
Awesome. Good for you, Peter. That's great.
It's going to buy me. It's going to buy me a new color camera.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Really?
Between you and Mario, we got the editorial league for the Sky and Telescope in 2024.
It's not what you know; it's who you know.
That's true.
Always true.
Yeah.
So anyway, Peter went out and bought a SeeStar 50. And then so we've used both scopes, and I was kind of wondering if maybe we can kind of get a feel for those of you who haven't got any of these scopes, get a feel for the instruments and what would be a good recommendation for people that don't want to spend a lot of money. Because they do have used UNISTELLAs. I've seen them as low as $900. So anyway, Peter, why don't you take it away? And
Sure, and actually, I could talk about like a different one as well. I'm just going to put my camera or my phone screen looking at the SeeStar, and I also have a Dwarf Labs 2. No offense, Linwood. That AAVSO owns, and I'm kind of reviewing it for AAVSO, just see if it's usable for variable star work. So let me actually re-aim, and I can talk about these things once I'm on them. Where the heck is it? Oh, there's Dwarf Labs. So that's a Dwarf 2.
I have one also.
Okay, so this is unique in that there's 2 lenses. There's a 1-inch aperture, 25 millimeter aperture lens for astronomical use. And then there's a much smaller one it's wide field to use just, in nature kind of thing.
What's in the middle?
Nothing.
Nothing.
nothing. And there, I didn't bring it out, although I can. There's a nice little filter holder that goes over this whole front piece, and you can screw in inch and a quarter filters. And it comes with a light pollution filter if you want to use it. It's kind of cute.
Does that window stay there? You view through the window?
Yeah,
This window here,
Yeah, there's a piece of looks like there's a piece of plastic or something.
you know, there is. I haven't taken it off. I can do that. There.
there you go. Now you can see them.
Okay.
There's new software just came out also for the Dwarf, and I just uploaded it just an hour ago.
Yeah. So the good thing about the new software is the original software had a very limited catalog of things to observe. The new catalog is much more extensive. But either way, whether you have the old or new, you can enter the coordinates, right ascension and declination into your phone or tablet, and it'll go directly to it. So that's kind of cool. I'll tell you though, a 25 millimeter aperture is damn small. You know, it's around $450, $500. I don't know. It seems a lot for a 25 millimeter telescope. Now, so if I can go over, yeah, here's the SeeStar. Kind of looking down right now. This at least is a 50 millimeter aperture scope. Again, and it has the same, it has a pretty extensive, trying to have it aim up here, has a pretty extensive catalog. There's a built-in planetarium program that you can use to point to different areas of the sky. But there's no way presently to input right ascension and declination. So that's a bit that can be tricky. There's a built-in light pollution filter that you can use or not use, flip in and out. Some people have made modifications to these. You notice this has a lens up in front, which is supposedly is an apo, by the way. Some people have made dew caps that attach. Other people have made like a dew cap with a built-in 2-inch filter holder. So you can add other filters if you wished. And then there's this one guy on YouTube who actually opened up, you know, the telescope box, and he inserted an SA100 diffraction grating, and he turned it into a spectroscope. So he's taking star spectra with it. Which is, to me, I think pretty cool. And he can take it out in, looks like about 10 minutes. You know, put it in, take it out. It's pretty easy to get in.
Hey, Peter, just a simple question here. These two, the Dwarf and the SeeStar, these are telescopes, not just cameras. Is that right?
What's the difference?
Well, well, okay, all right.
I can't put an eyepiece on it.
But it's not these you don't mount these onto another telescope. You use them as they are.
As
Tripod.
I see.
a tripod. So
Okay.
one thing that's come out fairly recently for both of these telescopes is that, okay, these are operating in Altaz mode, right? You can put these on a tripod with a wedge and tip it. Well, I'm looking at the wrong scope. Tip it so it's on Polaris. And end up using an equatorial mode. And by doing that, you eliminate the field rotation. Because when you take a 20-minute or an hour-long set of exposures with either of these two telescopes, some of the outer edges are going to be screwed up because the field rotates over time on an altazimuth mount. Do we all understand that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I used to operate on mine on Altaz with a camera, and you know couldn't do very long with
So
all sorts of rotation.
I think it's pretty cool that you can, you know, they'll both work. in equatorial mode. Now, how long will the plastic gears last? With, you know, with non, you know, perpendicular thrust on them? I don't know. That's a different question. And I find, I don't know if you guys know Thingiverse for 3D printing people. There's all kinds of designs for stuff on Thingiverse. If you put in Dwarf Labs, a nice wedge, there's a nice wedge that you can make, you can print, that actually helps, that also supports the top part of the telescope. So it's not like trying to bend down on its axis, over its axis. I think that's kind of cute. And there's been some proposals on the ZWO website for people to do a similar kind of gig for the SeeStar, but I haven't seen one yet. Both scopes are operated from your handset, or whether it's Apple or yeah, Peter, I run it, Android, or it can be run from laptops, or I should say like Chromebooks that run Android. I just use my handset. Your phone is connected or whatever, connected directly to it. The connection is not through your network at home. So good, bad, or indifferent. I wish it was actually through the network. I can see if you're out and about, if you're down in if you're down at the Winter Star Party, great, you want a direct connection. But when I have it in my, when I have the unit on my back deck, it would be handier for me to be able to attach it to the home network. And if I could do that, then I could probably run it from my laptop.
So it's only Bluetooth then?
Pardon me?
It's only Bluetooth?
No, it's Wi-Fi, but it's direct Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay.
Just not through the router Wi-Fi.
You connect to it, yeah.
Yes.
But so the scope is generating its own Wi-Fi hotspot, if you will.
Yes.
Peter, on cloudy nights, they had a couple of messages where people did connect to it, to their home router.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you can do that.
You sure? For which?
You can also run it with the Sky Safari too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. People have gotten Sky Safari to it, so you can put your RA and deck in, or you can have a much larger catalog through Sky Safari.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, and I haven't given it a shot yet.
Okay.
Peter, my iOpton also has its own Wi-Fi, but if I use my home Wi-Fi, then I can control it from the house. So that's the way I do it. So a lot of them will have their own Wi-Fi, but it's better to use your home Wi-Fi if you want to have more adaptability.
We will give that a shot. I have not tried that yet. I followed directions and said connect direct, and did.
You're a creature of habit.
I'm just a creature, Mario.
Now the photos you take go on an SD card?
On the Dwarf, yeah, in both cases goes to an SD card.
Okay.
Micro SD.
Micro SD. With the SeeStar, to get them off, the card, I plug it in, I use a USB cable to my laptop and I download it.
Okay.
From the Dwarf, I don't think you can do that. What I've done is the micro SD is accessible, and I just download it. I just take it off and plug it into my laptop and download them that way.
Peter, you can on your iPad or phone also download from the Dwarf right into, it'll store them right on the iPad.
They say I don't have an iPad, and I have no reason to really want to put all those files on my cell phone. So one way or another, I got to connect something to my laptop in order to get stuff into the laptop.
Yeah.
The files are FITS files and JPEGs. Unlike UNISTELLA, you get everything. You get all the files. With a UNISTELLA, it's complex. It's like, so with the UNISTELLA, I connect it to my handset when I'm observing. When I'm done observing, through the handset, I say disconnect from my handset, connect to my home Wi-Fi, and upload my files to UNISTELLA. I assume that's in France. And then you have to go to the customer support webpage and ask for your files back in TIFF or FITS.
Yeah.
And they email you a link where you can download the files.
I did it from Alex's 2 Unistellars from New Mexico that way. Yeah.
It's
Pain in the butt.
It's a pain in the butt because if you have 2 or 3 hours of observation data, it's going to take a good hour to upload it to France, right? So you better have your unit plugged in because I think it would be bad. And if you ran out of power midway through an upload.
It took a long time for 4 days.
Yeah. And then when you get done and they send you your link, it takes another hour plus to download them. Plus, they have all your data. I don't know what they can do with them or want to do with them, but it's not yours anymore. I mean, it is, but they can do with it what they wish.
So Peter, let me ask you again.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the Dwarf Lab 2 Smart Digital Telescope versus the Telescope Deluxe Edition? What's the difference? They've got both. One's 595, the other one's 565, and the basic one's 495.
I have a basic one. I don't know what the difference is in the more advanced.
I can tell you the advanced ones just come with other they come with other accessories like a carrying case and the tripod, and there's a few other things. I think some filters and stuff.
Well, maybe I have the advanced. I have a carrying case that came with it, a little tripod that I don't use.
Yeah.
It's a little flimsy. Frankly, I just put it on top of my grill on the deck. Like I've got a table kind of thing on the grill. It works fine.
Yeah.
But
But it says digital telescope versus Telescope Deluxe.
They're all digital.
Yeah. What?
It's the same sensor.
Okay. So why would they leave that off the other one?
It's called marketing.
Got it.
As a former marketeer, I can tell you my hands are not clean doing that kind of stuff either.
Okay. So this
What
is something I'd
sensor
like to
does-
have.
They
Yeah.
also give you 2 solar filters for the 2 cameras on the Dwarf.
Yep.
And gave you 1 UHC that was garbage, and they replaced most of them. We didn't get new ones for our 2 units.
Gregory, you want to ask something?
Yeah. What is the sensor? I know I have the Dwarf. I mean, I have the SeeStar, and it has the Sony IMX 462 color. What does the Dwarf have? What chip? CMOS chip? Do you know? Is it that
Off the top of my head, I don't. I've looked it up before. It's a different Sony CMOS chip than the SeeStar. It's got a little different what do you call it? Image size too. It's more rectangular.
Oh, okay. And you can make the SeeStar equatorial. If you put it on a wedge, it'll work.
I've read that and on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook too, but I don't. Yeah, that I think in the future what they'll do is they'll have an equatorial mode. So if you want to put it equatorial, there'll be a little button in there. You just push it out as or equatorial, and and then it'll track better.
I wonder if they would either of them, Dwarf or SeeStar. I wonder if they would replace the plastic bearings, or not bearings, plastic gears with metal at that point. I just got to believe it's more wear and tear on the gears.
And the SeeStar just increased the exposure time from 10. You can do 20 and 30 seconds, which is fantastic.
Which is great.
And it also has automatic dithering too. So it's dithering the image, which is good. And
that's good.
Increasing resolution and decreasing noise. So
One thing I wish that the SeeStar had that it doesn't is the ability to take whatever exposure time you want up to say 30 seconds. And the reason is, I mean, most people wouldn't care, but I'm interested in doing variable star observations. And these small telescopes would be ideal to do variable star photometry on bright stars, because they're small telescopes, right? Small apertures.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, I need 1 second or less exposure time. Because even on these scopes, at 1 or 2 seconds, I'm saturated and I can't take measurements off of saturated images.
Oh, okay. I see.
So it would be nice.
Yeah. Well,
What is
they're designed to be more deep sky scopes, you know, and
True.
and all that. And then the SeeStar recently had a cool feature on the planetary. You can go 2x and 4x, so it makes the planet larger. It's still very small. I mean,
But that's,
you know, but it's
that's
still
a,
larger.
but
And
that's
I
not
like
like that's not like a Barlow, okay?
yeah,
That's,
You know,
that's just shrinking, you know, the amount of the image sensor that's being shown.
shown.
So
Oh,
you're
okay,
not
yeah.
getting any extra resolution from that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I sent ZWO and asked them if they could do that for the deep sky objects, because planetary nebula get lost in the wide field. You know, the Ring Nebula looks tiny, and you know the Eskimo Nebula, the Dumbbell looks fine because that's a lot larger. You know, but a lot of the small nebula, if you could cut that sensor down, it'll look a lot larger and nicer. You know.
Of course.
So they have yet to do that, but
If you
I think they will.
If you import the image files into a computer, you can do that in Photoshop or whatever.
Yeah, just crop it. Yeah, yeah. But I like doing it in real time. You know what I mean?
Another thing about both of these scopes, and I can use some help in this, hopefully in future meetings here, maybe. The FITS files you get have all 3 color channels in them: 2 green, a blue, and a red color channel. And I know that, like Cyril, when I read the instructions, it says I could feed it an image file like that, and it'll spit out the red, green, and blue channels as separate files. But for the life of me, I can't figure out how to do that. So anybody who knows how to do that, I could use a tutorial at some point.
How big is the dwarf? How heavy is it?
It's about 3.5 pounds, I'd say. It's pretty light.
there's one,
We have
3.5 pounds.
let me ask you, we have bird tours here in we've got, I don't know, 2 sections of wilderness, a lot of bald eagles and stuff. Would this really be good for that bird tour? Because I got binocs, but I try to put myself, it doesn't work.
Yes.
I'm really looking for something that could do both.
Yes.
And telephoto and wide, don't forget.
Right. So the thing is, you can like, when I'm looking at trees off of my lot here, 500 feet away, I start off with the wide field camera, and I kind of get to where I want to be, and then hit the screen and go to telephoto, and it makes them quite close. It's a good, I don't know, 5x, 6x at least.
And it takes a good shot and puts it on the SD card.
Yes.
So that's what I need.
I haven't tried this, but there is also auto tracking software in it to track things on the land. So if like you're on a rabbit, it'll try to keep it in the field of view.
And it has sun tracking too for solar.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that. Good. Thank you.
So if you're looking through a neighbor's window and the blonde's really cute, but she's moving across to a different window, it'll track with her.
Peter, you know what's another thing you can mention? The ZWO support for the SeeStar is excellent. I've sent little bugs and things that I found, and within 24 hours they get a response. Simon Lewis seems to be the one that does it. He's YouTube. He has a YouTube video on it. I mean, within 24 hours, the next day, like clockwork. So that is excellent support. You know, it's not like you're waiting days or weeks or never hear anything. You get it within the next day. They're really, really good.
One issue with these scopes, I mean, it's not a huge issue, but you got to keep it in the back of your mind, when, at least when you're in New England. They both run off of lithium ion batteries. And you cannot charge lithium ion batteries below freezing temperatures. It can damage the batteries. So like when the temperature was in the 40s and 50s here, you know, I didn't rely on the battery. I always had it plugged into the wall wart. It was charging as I was using it. Now I see that it, you know, it's not charging anymore. And I can run out of battery.
Have you
They give
used
you the charging set with it, I'm sure.
Chargers come with it, yep. For either of them. And actually with the Dwarf, at least again, the version I have, came with an extra battery.
No, I didn't get that.
You got the deluxe.
They must know you, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Alex ordered 2 of these a year before they were available. He was part of the Kickstarter program.
Okay.
And so we waited and waited and waited. But I use a USB cord with a regular 10 or 20,000 milliamp hour battery, so the thing won't run out of juice, and that's at normal temperatures. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have an external battery plugged in the USB, and I don't run out of juice at all. But I'm in Florida, so it's only in the 50s now. It doesn't get, you know.
We were in New
really
Mexico, and it was getting pretty chilly.
Yeah.
North, you're in Sarasota. That's way up there.
One nice thing they gave the SeeStar ZWO gave or includes is I don't know what they call it, high performance mode. Basically, I think they run the microprocessor faster when you want it to. And the reason you want to do that is it acts as a we call it a dew ring. You get it warms the unit up so that the exposed lens at the top supposedly doesn't dew over as easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I always keep the dew heater function on because it's very humid here. It'll dew up like crazy.
So yeah, so up here, like now, I'm not seeing dew, but I am seeing frost, and it takes care of that quite nicely as well.
Yeah.
At the expense of running the battery down quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they said that the battery will run down. Yeah, and ZWO doesn't have the RA and deck. You can't enter that just yet.
I gotta believe that they're gonna have that one of these days.
Yeah, they will. They will.
Guys, I have to drop off for a sec.
Well, Greg, I think Dave was saying that, and Tony too, I think, saying that you could connect it up to Sky Safari.
Yes.
Yeah, how do you do that exactly?
Yeah, then you can enter in your RA and deck through Sky
How do you connect it to Sky Safari? I don't know how to do that.
I don't know. Dave mentioned it. Dave
Yeah,
Grossman.
it's on Cloudy Nights. If you go to Cloudy Nights, there's a whole thing about SeeStar. They have a whole forum section on there, and it was just posted a couple of days ago. A guy did it on how he did it to get his SeeStar hooked up to Cloudy Nights via Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
he says he uses it. He says he's still going to use the SeeStar software, but like I said, the Sky Safari has a bigger catalog, and you know, you should be able to put in through that also an RA and a deck.
Yeah, it's interesting how people are experimenting like in equatorial mode and using Sky Safari and stuff like that, you know, and posting it online. You know, ZWO is watching all that too. So, you know,
Greg, all I did was I put in 127.0.0.1 and then use 4030, and then
that's the pass-through port.
Yeah, and then you just open up Sky Safari when you put that information in, and then you just connect to it. There's 3 settings on Sky Safari. So I think it was one of them is they have on the new one, you can connect to something remote, and that's what you do. I have the ZWO already on tracking, and then I connect to it remotely. And it just comes bing.
What did you say? It was 127 dot what?
127.0.0.1.
one. Okay,
And
yeah,
then
because it's
40,
got the
4030
Wi-Fi.
is the port. 4030 is the
And the
port.
port is what?
4030.
is the port.
4030. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm afraid to try it in case then it won't connect to the SeeStar.
No, it works great. It works
Yeah.
good.
Oh, okay. And then in Sky Safari, what do you do? It'll connect automatically to it, or?
It will connect and you'll have your screen there and it will show you exactly where you're pointing. And then you can just click on something and go to it and it will go to.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
But
fantastic.
then you still have to go to the ZWO app in order to do your exposures and such. You
Right.
can't take
Yeah.
pictures through Sky Safari.
Right.
But still, you know, what the hey?
Does it still talk to you? Searching, target is centered. You know what I mean? With Sky Safari too.
I didn't use it in the field. I only connected it here on my little workshop.
Oh, okay.
Checked
All
it
right.
out, and it connected, and I drove it
The
around
weather's
a little
been
bit.
terrible. It's been cloudy
Oh,
every day.
horrible.
The moon's out of the way now. It doesn't rise till way after midnight. I mean, now's a perfect time to do deep sky, but
Yeah,
There's a
well, I'm
bunch of
sure-
galaxies in Sculptor I want to get, and
Yeah.
I got 10 days coming up, all clouds.
Yep.
It's really annoying. I
Yep.
should have stayed back in Massachusetts.
Been
Tom,
terrible.
I checked that little place that you talked about on Avocado Avenue, and there's two places to park, but one is away from the lights, and that would be perfect for us to go.
Yeah, one of them is a gravel lot, and the other one's a blacktop lot.
Right, the gravel lot, the first right, it's, because there's that one big spotlight at night over the other place. And this way, if we park there, the light would be, would be out of the way because there's a building that blocks that light, so it would be perfect. So we ought to try it when it's clear.
When it's clear, we'll know when, but when it's clear.
So, so
so
Greg,
Peter, you're gonna publish this in Sky and Telescope, you said? A review?
My review of the Unistellar is going to be published.
Oh, UNISTELLA. Oh,
Yep.
okay. I thought it was maybe Dwarf and SeeStar comparison.
I think Dennis DeChico of Sky and Tel is reviewing the SeeStar, and I don't know if they have plans to do the Dwarf. But I'm in the AAVSO, American Association of Variable Star
Yeah.
Observers. I'm on their board, and
wow.
Dwarf Lab has donated a dwarf to us, and our executive director said, "Who wants to play with it first? Figure out what it can be used for." And pick me.
so how do you compare, Peter? The three scopes. I know you haven't had much with the Dwarf, but you have used the Unistellar extensively, and you own a SeeStar. What are you thinking between the two for guys that want to get into this and try it out?
Okay, I'd say the expensive Unistellar, the one that has a pseudo eyepiece off the side of it, that looks at an LCD screen or whatever. I think that's a total scam. You don't see anything different in that than you do off of your handset with the cheaper model. I think the Unistellar, it works pretty well. All of these can get confused with any kind of puffy clouds in the sky. So that's an issue as far as the go-to function goes. I don't think you can take a Unistellar and make it equatorial. But it's a 4.5 inch aperture. So that gives it, you can do deep sky stuff quicker, shorter exposures or go deeper. The ZWO is really well supported. And it's only 2-inch aperture, but it only $500 or less. And I got it for $400 when they introduced it. It was they knocked $100 off for the first couple months. I think it's definitely worth it. User interface is very good. It's very good on go-tos. So I like it a lot. The Dwarf, I don't like the user interface as much. I find it less intuitive, and mine tends to get lost when I try to go to objects.
Have you tried the new software that just came out yet?
A couple times, yeah.
And that still got
Yeah,
problems.
it's still not great. It's better than it used to be. You know, it's like what is it? It's like Baltimore. It's better than it used to be. But
The ZWO, Peter.
I'd say the ZWO is the one to go.
Yeah, but I mean, you may have hit on the only use I can think of it is the automated follow variable stars. What's its limiting magnitude?
I'd say around 13, 14 in that
Can
range.
get that far?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I did a study. It's 15th magnitude. It can get down to 15th magnitude galaxies. I imaged the Perseus 1 cluster, and I focused on one NGC, and there were like a dozen different galaxies around there. And there's this program, astronomy.net, that identifies every galaxy in your image. And I looked, and it identified it. I went to every NGC and looked it up, and the lowest that went was like 15.1.
What exposure
So
time?
you, huh?
What
10
exposure?
second. This was before they did the 20 and 30. 10 second.
There was 1 10-second exposure?
No, 30 minutes, but I'm saying that, it was only 10-second subs.
Well, you're summing them all up though. So it's effectively half
summing
an
all
hour.
up. It went to 15th magnitude, which is fantastic. 10 second. Now imagine 20 and 30 seconds. If you can, it'd probably go another magnitude lower,
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive for a little 2-inch aperture. I mean, you have to admit.
So for like variable stars, I'm thinking about the 5 to 10 minutes is my top. That's where I max out as far as how long I want to observe something for.
And Peter, I put down there the comparison between the two UNISTELLA.
I saw that.
It's like a half a price for one less megapixel and an Nikon eyepiece. Other than that, it's like, as you said, everything is the same.
Yeah, it's the same sensor. Yeah. And it's a Nikon eyepiece looking at a TV screen.
Yeah.
Or computer monitor. So who gives a damn? I mean, ultimately, right? That's my issue. I think that is just a total, you're not looking through a telescope. You're looking at a screen.
Mm-hmm.
But for public outreach, people kind of like it.
I guess, but on the other hand, with the UNISTELLA, I can connect 10 or more people to the scope simultaneously through their phones.
Right.
Right, you can, but the number one thing that people want to see when they come to our observatory, they want to look at an object through the eyepiece. They don't want to look at a monitor. They don't want to look at a screen of any sort. So we do have a UNISTELLA there that Tom Burkett purchased, and it has the eyepiece on it. And people line up to look through the eyepiece and don't pay much attention to the 8-inch screen he has off to the side.
That's wild. People are easily fooled because there's
Over in
another screen.
Mexico, Alex had on his 2 UNISTELLARs, he had 10 and 12 people at a time looking at the 2 iPads because he could go to so many things so quickly and show them all kinds of stuff. They didn't ask one iota about looking at an eyepiece. And these are pretty experienced people, I think.
Yeah, but my philosophy is if you go outreach and someone has never ever looked through a scope before, they should see it with their human eye first,
I agree.
through an eyepiece. They should see the moon, and they're always impressed, and the Saturn and Jupiter and Mars and phases of Venus, they're always impressed. But and the Orion Nebula and Andromeda Galaxy, the really bright stuff, usually you're in a pretty light polluted area anyway, so you're not going to get really faint. And if you do show them a really faint galaxy, they're like, that's it, that little smudge, they're not really impressed. They expect, Hubble Space Telescope images, which is what the SeeStar and the Dwarf and the UNISTELLA give you, really, on a tablet. So, but I think, if you've never looked through a telescope, you need to really see it with your eye first, But it's nice to have both, to have, like a Schmidt-Cassegrain or a Dobb, they look at it through their eye, and then they can look at the same thing on an iPad, you know what I mean, or an iPhone. I think the two would complement each other.
So I use the UNISTELLA up at Stellafane this year. And
Yeah.
each clear night I had 4, 5, 6 people attached to it along with me. And and the way it works is one person drives the telescope and the others just see the images and but they can download, they can take images through it, right? So Tom, for your observing sessions for the public, when you publicize those, it might make sense to add someplace in your blurb to, before you come, download this app from the App Store, and you'll be able to take pictures and take them home through from a telescope.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. The number one thing that people come there for is to look through the 16-inch we have up in the dome. That's where they line up to see number one. And we've only had the UNISTELLA out there a couple of months, and it hasn't been very good weather any of those months anyway. So we don't get a whole lot of time to do much observing. But as we get more experience and better weather, hopefully, we're hoping that more people will come. And yeah, that's a good idea to somehow mention ahead of time that people can download the software and stand there and save it on their smartphone. I've had it on my iPad. I had my iPad over at his house several times, and so far I've probably got 30 or 40 images saved on my iPad off the UNISTELLA, and some of them are great images. I mean, I never could have done that with any other scope, that didn't have all the features of that UNISTELLA.
True that.
So if you're an observer attached to it, Peter, and you've got it on your, you're looking at it on your iPhone, are you taking a screen capture, or are you actually there's a download procedure?
Yeah, hit the button and it downloads.
It's a screen capture type of thing. You just hit a button, it takes. And the nice thing is, Michael, so let's say, I'm looking at the dumbbell, right? So the telescope slews over to the dumbbell. I see it in my handset, and it's really faint, right? And I have it integrating, so it's taking whatever it is, 10-second exposures, however many seconds.
4 seconds.
4 seconds, and it's just integrating them. And every so often I can say, okay, now take a snapshot of that. Okay, 10 minutes later, take a snapshot of that. And so can anybody else who's attached to the telescope.
Yeah. The one good thing about the UNISTELLA is that it processes the pictures faster, and you can share it with up to 10 people. The ZWO, it takes longer to process the picture, and I've only been able to connect 2 at a time. Have you addressed that?
Yeah, it doesn't have that feature for multiple yet. Yeah.
There is a feature in the new version of the software, which I just haven't tried, which allows it.
All right.
Somehow allows it to multiple people to connect, but not to see. It's not like running it in Wi-Fi. It's using an app. I can't remember the name of it. That's used in like digital projectors. So you have multiple people connected to a digital projector and looking at the output and seeing and taking images of it.
We'll have to investigate that. Greg, that's a good job for you.
What?
to understand that software Peter's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can figure out what that is.
And why he's doing that, I've done the 20 and 30 seconds, and then there's a review on it, and it says the 20 gives you a little bit more, but then you start losing on the 30-second exposure. Have you read that yet, Greg?
No, but I have not had much success with the 30. I'm always getting star trails. It's not.
Yeah, I got that
the
too.
30. I think is too long. The 20 is ideal. The 20 is great for like faint nebula, like the Veil and stuff like that, But if you're gonna do star clusters like open or globular, 10 seconds is plenty. You don't need 20 because you get more star bloat. I notice with the 20, the stars are larger. They spill over to the adjacent pixels, but then you're gaining in, the nebula. You're getting a lot more of the image you know, because it's a very faint object. So, you know, if for faint nebula, I think the 20-30 second is great. But for brighter stuff like open globular clusters, 10 seconds is plenty, you know.
So,
You get nice tighter stars, smaller stars, more pinpoint with 10 seconds, you know, than you do. And if that's all you're getting, open star, cluster, and globular, that's what you want, you know.
yeah. Who wrote this? Matt, I guess it was Matt. Yeah, it's VLC is the name of the application to that you can run on other devices to see the output of the ZWO, and it's called an RTSP address, and it's used in streaming applications. So you can basically use this as a streaming source to other devices. And the app uses VLC. Yeah.
Just the UNISTELLA, when Alex was using it in New Mexico and I was in Chicago, he's up in the mountains imaging and he still had cell coverage. And I'm sitting in Chicago watching everything he does.
Oh, wow.
Live. So it's got advantages in that respect.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I read too is UNISTELLA has some citizen science projects. What is that all about? I sent an email to ZWO and told them about it. And ZW says they're working on that too.
So the deal is this. UNISTELLA has on its staff 4 or 5 part-time PhD astronomers.
Oh, wow.
And most of them work at the SETI Institute full-time. And ZWO rents them, if you will, so much percentage of their time. And one person does comets. And they put out to the public, hey, we're looking for pictures of this comet. Here's how to find it. And, you know, send us your images and we'll put everybody's together. Okay, or do something with them. Or when there was a M101, was it 101 or 110 supernova this summer? It was like, oh, we're gonna, you know, send us your supernova images. Here's how to take them. And over the course of months, they put together light curves of how the supernova is fading out.
Wow.
They do some not many, but they do some exoplanet transits as a group, and they encourage users to all go out at a certain night and observe. And even if you only see it for a couple hours, that's okay, because if 50 people do it or 100 people do it, they can take the data from 50 or 100 telescopes and put together one light curve. I kind of consider this the sizzle of these things. You know, you're buying the steak, kind of, that's a hardware, but they're selling the sizzle. There's a lot of good little projects you can do. A high school teacher, a middle school teacher can, you know, doesn't have to know real astronomy in order to have their students go out and do real observations. UNISTELLA has gotten some amount of National Science Foundation grants to either place these for free or sell them at a discount to community colleges in order to get more observations and, you know, get more community college kids, you know, interested in the sciences. At the AAVSO conference back in early November, UNISTELLA gave a couple talks on their citizen science projects, and it was great. They do a nice job of getting people involved.
Oh, wow. So that's what it's all about. That's fantastic. Yeah. It would be nice for ZWO to do the same with the SeeStar, you know?
Yeah.
They say they're working on it, which is good.
The only thing that worries me about that is, like in UNISTELLA's case, you know, they're selling you the telescope. So the only income they have is when you fork over your dollars, right?
Yeah.
But by having to fund, and I'm making this number up, but it can't be far off, by funding, you know, $50,000 or $100,000 worth of astronomers every year, their cost per unit, their units in the field keep costing them money. right? Because so there's got to be a point where it's going to be too expensive for them to do this.
Oh,
You know, it's one thing when they were basically a monopoly, and and these scopes and the Unistellas were priced like $800 or to $1,000 higher than they are now. Okay, but now they've got competition, so the prices have to go down, and their costs keep increasing because they have to keep supporting them with projects. And at some point, that's going to be an issue. In
So
fact,
they
I
have
talked to one of their astronomers about that, and she was
So
like,
they
"Yeah,
have
I'm
to-
concerned about that too."
They have to pay the PhDs. Is that what
Correct.
you're saying?
It's
Yeah.
not a one-time cost.
It's
It's
not. Yeah, they
every
got to
year.
pay them every year. Yeah, I see what you're
So
saying.
each telescope in the field costs them money each year.
Right, and what are they getting in return? A publication, if that, you know
There's
what I
a few
mean?
publications, but they don't pay anything. What
Yeah.
they're getting is that's a good way to hype these telescopes into high schools, middle schools. You know,
They're getting PR, right? They're getting advertising, they're getting PR, right?
Yeah,
That's true.
Keeps their name in front of people, right?
right. And it gives even amateur scientists like Mario the opportunity to get published. You know, one of the things I noticed that Unistellar does is when they put a paper out on some supernova, and they listed as co-authors every single person who contributed at least one image.
I was just going to say that I actually, even though I was director of research from a medical group, I now have more articles with my name published in astronomy magazines, publications than I do in medicine. And the reason is every time you submit an observation, the actual person who's writing it always lists everyone who submitted. So my name is on a bunch of astronomical research periodicals, and I haven't written a damn thing.
That's standard etiquette within the astronomy community.
Yeah, you don't do that in medicine. Only the lead researchers get that.
It's like I was published in September in an article because I submitted 12 or 15 observations of a particular X-ray binary star to the AVSO database. So I was listed. Do I understand the whole article? No.
Yeah. Well, that was like who was that member we had, Tony? Jim again, he's another retired physician from Connecticut. He was doing the downloads for the exoplanet observations, just doing downloads and doing the analysis. And he's just really kind of picking out candidates, right? And then resubmitting the candidates. Well, one of them turned out to be an exoplanet. Same thing. He got a co-author credit on the paper that identified. What was his last name, Tony?
Manger, I think, or Manger.
Menger. I don't know if any of you guys remember him. He hasn't been on the call in a while, but he ended up getting, like Mario said, he ended up getting a co-author credit on the paper because he was the one that picked it out as a candidate. And
yeah, it's a long tradition in astronomy periodicals that if you submit data, the lead author will list you as one of the co-publishers. That's just tradition going back decades and decades.
Now, to carry that to an extreme, if you're a scientist or engineer at CERN, the nuclear, the ring accelerator in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Every paper published from there, and there's a lot of them, list basically all the engineers, technicians, and scientists in each paper alphabetically. So if your last name starts with AA, you're listed as the primary author in the second paper out there.
Primary author is always the last one in the list.
It's CERN?
No, in medicine at least, it's always the last name on the list is the primary author. I think that's most scientific publications.
Well, this has been a good discussion. Are there any final questions or anything that anybody would like to ask?
I have one. Mario, are you coming to dinner tonight before your presentation?
Yes, I plan to.
Good. We'll see you there.
What kind of greasy place is this anyways?
Buffalo Wild Wings, and it's behind, you gotta turn in where the Home Depot is on the east side of 75, and you go around behind, you know, if you got GPS in your phone.
Yeah, I'll put it
it'll
on
get you.
GPS.
What
Do they
time
have
are
real
they
food
meeting?
there or just buffalo wings?
Yeah.
No, they have a variety.
Okay.
What time are they meeting?
Mike said 4:45. I'm gonna try to get there about 4:30.
Hey, actually, Ray, the club historian for Stellafane, Bert Willard, wants me to take a few pictures of the garden telescope there and send it to him, including the serial number. Can that be arranged?
Yeah,
It's
you
out
can-
on display there, I know.
but you can walk right up to it and touch it.
Yeah. So I just want to get permission to take a bunch of pictures of it for him. He's the one that, in fact, most of the photos I'm going to show tonight were collated by him going back 100 years.
Wow.
Oh, these are pictures back when you were a kid.
Well, you have it in for Mario today, don't you, Peter?
But they're both published inside. They're both S&T published, so yeah, they're going at each other.
I'm
There
still
we
trying to
go.
figure out what I had to do with dwarfs.
Steve, did you notice the Sky and Tell article? There was that one paragraph.
Yeah, I
directed
haven't got it. I haven't got it yet. I'm gonna grab it and.
Oh, no, I read it. There was a couple
right
of
in the middle of
references
the
in there,
article.
Mario.
There's
There were-
one
there were-
little paragraph about some people who just want to look at M42.
I did get a great view of it last year, in fact.
By the way,
How's it-
I was told that my talk's going to be at 1 o'clock on Tuesday that week.
I'll be there for sure. What's the weather
I
like
will
down?
mention you by name.
Okay, no problem either way. What's I'm concerned about El Nino and the prospects for weather down there.
I know. It's been nothing but clouds down here.
Has
right?
it been? Yeah.
Hopefully it'll change by February.
Yeah, we'll see. Otherwise, we'll just be going out for dinner a lot. Right, Dan?
Oh, yeah. Know all the spots, man. Square Grouper, Mango Mamas. Yeah.
We're doing it.
You know,
Yeah, I'm looking at clear outside. There is not a green square on it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring a small scope, I think, that I can pull out, put back in, and not really have to deal with too much. I think.